Afternoon, Outliers. Happy Wednesday. Yeah. How are y'all doing today? Tell you what, we've had an incredible 2 weeks. I am so stoked to be out of the market right now. There was a question in the Discord about hey, could you do some paper trading, things like that. And my response to you, if you're listening to this and for everybody out there, go back and review the last 2 weeks. In the last 2 weeks, we put on 13 trades. Um the last 2 weeks we put on 13 trades, won 11 and lost 2, which is pretty awesome, right? And like I show start to finish, open to close, everything that you could possibly know about how to trade in that time. But I don't plan to be trading for a little bit. The market is not cooperating. In fact, let me share my screen here. The market is not cooperating, and I'm definitely not ready to go south or go short, I should say. And I'm certainly not buying anything at this moment. And for a hot minute, I was talking a lot about politics because I love politics, right? I don't watch sports, right? If you come at me telling me about um, anything about sports, I literally cannot have a conversation with you about it. There was one time where I was talking about the Super Bowl, and I was like, "Who was in the Super Bowl? Who won the Super Bowl? Oh yeah, Taylor Swift's boyfriend. He won the Super Bowl." I don't care about sports. I care about politics and I care about making money with stocks. So when it comes to that, that is my focus. So this is my jam, and I'm super, super, super stoked to be able to do this with you. And Randy just mentioned that the losses were small. In fact, let's go. Let's do this. My plan today is to start giving you an intense training, and I really want this to be something you can keep forever. My goal is to have an intense training on how to trade, right? If I'm not trading anything, I want to make sure that I give you the best content possible. I'm not talking politics, but talking about trading. And so what I'm planning on doing is going through the entire trading strategy, start to finish, 1 week at a time. So there's no rush to get through everything. It's not going to be an hour long each day. We're going to talk about why we do certain things, you know, in the strategy, where I learned it from, why does it matter, why not do it a different way, right? I'm not saying my way is perfect, but what I am saying is I want to give you the knowledge that I was able to capture by losing literally hundreds of thousands of dollars before I figured things out, spending time directly with 5 of the market wizards, and teaching you everything that I possibly could. Now, all of this is predicated on having the outlier data, right? Because the signals that come through here are unbelievable. And I'm so stoked to be a part of this. So before we even get into all of the strategy, why it matters, where it comes from, I want to tell you all about Outlier. I want to tell you exactly everything inside of each of the different categories. And I want to hear from you questions that you have about anything. And then I also want to hear from you feedback of how you're using it or how you think we can improve upon it. Because as you know, we take feedback from our customers extremely serious, and we want to make sure that Outlier is the very best program you've ever come across, not just in signals, but we want to give you a full rounded package so that you can trade efficiently. So I hope that sounds good to you, and I'm glad to see everybody here. Good afternoon, Peter. Dave's saying hi to Peter. Yorn is back. So Yorn is one of our longtime people. Good to see Yorn. Randy's here. Brian's here. And oh yeah, that's right. I was going to pull up. The losses were small. I don't know how to show you my results without showing you everything. I want to show you the percentages. Give me a moment here. To Randy's point. Talk amongst yourselves. Oh, by the way, I am doing a consulting call with a financial institution at the top of the hour. So we got plenty of time before that. Give me just a second here. Because to Randy's point, I want to make sure that I give you all the details. Almost ready. Oh, that still didn't do it. Hang on. Sorry. Terrible, terrible content. I know, I know. Okay, that should work. All right. I got entry price, long strike, creditor debit, open to close, close date, days held, return on capital per day. This column here. Total return, account impact. Okay, this should work. And there we go. Okay. So here's the trades that I've put on this year, right? They've not all been great, right? Everything in orange right here was before the master key was figured out, right? And so that's one thing that I wanted to just make sure that we're all on the same page about. And these are the trades that we have put on in the last week, from Walmart down to IBN. And you can see the long strikes, the credit debit where we got out, and these are the return on capitals, right? So we've got a 43% win, a 9% win, 27% win, 23% win, 34% win, 26% win, a 1% loss, a 7% win, a 7% loss, 22% win, 9% win, 21 and 22% win. So that was 13 trades, and we lost on regions, which was by 1 penny. I was fighting on that one. And then on Infi. So, needless to say, we have come up with something incredible, amazing, and I'm so stoked to share this with you. And to Randy's point there, right? The losses were incredibly small, right? This is awesome, and I'm really excited to teach you everything about it. Brian says you need to pick up college Quidditch. Oh my gosh. True Texans will tell you you're out of state with those comments like that. I know. Listen, Texas high school football is a real thing here. I played Texas high school football back in the day, but I give no shits about any sort of football now. Peter, glad to see you. And he's here to looking forward to teaching. Great trades. Yeah, no doubt. And I was having this conversation with my parents this morning. I was on the phone with them. And I was saying, like, we have come across something amazing, not only with the outlier data, but combining the data and with these options that we've been putting on and just seeing these incredible results come through. And where was I going with that? Oh, I was talking to them, and it's like, it's not just a 2-week thing, right? Yes, it happened in the last 2 weeks, but then I went through, marked off all my trades over the last 2024 that had the master key set up. And then I did again for all my trades in 2023 that had the master key set up. And in 2024, the win rates, I got the numbers here. In 2024, the win rates with the master key, so only the trades that had the master key, and every trade that I had that was only set up with a master key, I should say, had win rates of 81%. 81% win rates. Year-to-date return would be 94.75%. So this is ideal returns for me. The only difference in what I showed you a minute ago and now is the ones that weren't set up for master key were taken off. Now, we'll jump more into the master key later on, but it's just the SPY signal being long or short, the market breadth matching, and the sector breadth matching in that same direction. And then I did it again for 2023, which I showed you guys yesterday, because I wanted to prove to myself that this is not a 2-week fluke. That's really why I did all this. I want to prove to you this is not a 2-week fluke. That's not the right one. Hang on. There you go. Master Key 2023. So same trades I took last year, all last year. 40% returns. Now, this chart's messed up. I know. I didn't fix that data. But on only 11 trades, 40% returns. This year, on only 27 trades, would have been 94.75% returns. So what I'm trying to tell you is that this is not a 2-week fluke. This is something that I've proven over 2 years of data works. we're going to change the market. We're going to take over the world. I texted Mahesh and Mark whenever I was figuring all this out, and I said, guys, listen, what we have figured out is going to change how the market operates. What we have figured out, the way that we have built all this data to work together, is literally going to change the way people trade. And I don't mean like, oh, you know, if you don't have this, you're not going to win. Like, legitimately, we're going to change the scale of the market with this. And I am in shock of how awesome this is. So the first question that people always ask is, what is OVTLYR, right? And I'll be very honest with you. I've had a very difficult time explaining this. One time I got my haircut and the stylist was doing her thing. And while I was waiting on her, the owner came over and we were talking. And dude's actually like incredibly wealthy. He owns 14 businesses. I don't know how you have time to manage 14 businesses effectively, but owns 14 businesses. And I was trying to explain OVTLYR to him, and I was like, it's the world's best AI stock trading assistant. And he's like, oh, how's it work? That's a great question. I don't know how it works. And this was not that long ago. I'm telling you, this was in July. Like literally just a couple months ago. So that gave me a little bit of an existential moment there, because it's like, how can I trade this without being able to articulate what is happening, what works, what even is OVTLYR, right? And so Mark and I went back a million times back and forth on this. He's like, Chris, I already explained this to you. And I'm like, oh, I know you've explained it to me, but I don't get it still. And so he'd do it again. And Mark's incredibly smart. So Mark is one of the founders here, and a lot of this is his brainchild. And he's way too smart for his own good. That's the truth. And I couldn't understand every time he told me how it works. I just couldn't grasp it. I know it did work. I'd seen it. But when people ask me, how does it work? I didn't have a good answer. So we recently updated the homepage. If you want to go to check out the homepage, we did a lot of updates here. And one thing that's really cool is actually we do like live back testing right here on the homepage. So you could show this to somebody and be like, hey, how good are our results? Well, go and look at it right there. So really cool stuff here. And, you know, a couple things while we were building this together, right? OVTLYR signals outperformed 78% of stocks, and 5.35x was how much it outperformed on average. It outperformed 78% of stocks by a factor of 5.35x. So that's 535% more. Pretty sweet. And so we've added in a lot of your testimonials in here. A lot of the feedback that you've given us inside of the Discord, which we really appreciate. And one thing down here is where Mark created this graphic to try and explain what OVTLYR is. And we'll go through this in just a second, but even this was a bit complicated for me. Brian says, did you take into consideration the exit points that would have been different based on that? No, the only thing I did, Brian, was lop off ones that weren't set up for master key and keep ones that were. That is it. I didn't change anything. I didn't change the entry points, exit points, nothing, except for, was it master key? Yes or no? It's binary, and then move it off. It's a trading AI magic 8-ball. Yeah, for sure. Sebastian says, when you're closing the system to just us being with you already, when are you, when are you closing the system to just us being with you already? If everyone knows the strategy won't work anymore. Actually, I disagree with that, Sebastian, because, and in fact, this ties well into this, right? Imagine that you are buying 1 million shares of something, right? When you put in your order for 1 million shares, a lot of people are going to take notice of that, and they're actually going to jump on board. And it's not to say that it wouldn't work anymore. It actually would help push the market forward. You could therefore move the market by having more people do the same thing that you're doing. So the more people who are buying a stock that we're seeing, the better. Brian says, you need to record it and go back through a ChatGPT to streamline it. That's actually what I did, Brian. So I took this and I put this in a ChatGPT and I said, explain it to me like I'm a 10-year-old. So this is really what I focused most of today on is, what is OVTLYR? How does it work? So I'll read you what's on the website, and then we'll go into a breakdown, which is a bit easier to understand. So our founding team has unique experience in building advanced models to quantify qualitative data. See, I told you, like Mark is way too smart for his own good. That's exactly what we've done with OVTLYR, the most comprehensive data collection engine on the planet, or on the market, for deciphering aggregate behavioral metrics from diverse data sets. Data tells the story, but stories also generate data. We live in the information age with breaking news at our fingertips and a diverse form of engagement and reciprocity across platforms and geographies. Mark wrote this. Each story that crosses our path exists on the axis and interest of proliferation, along on the spectrum of forgettable to captivating. How we react is often more telling than the content itself. Man, I can't even read this. With contextual, historical market data baselines to judge against, OVTLYR discerns instances of highly efficient markets and those far more susceptible to irrationality and forward-looking volatility. The result, a bridge between what you think about an asset and what others thought, and the thoughts of others. There we go. And an undeniable market edge. So here starts with the data. Investors react to changing market conditions, latest news, and other economic metrics. And then, thumbs up, thumbs down. Proprietary method collects investor reactions at the individual asset level. Then it goes through classification, algorithmic identification of investor biases. And then interpretation, OVTLYR identifies periods of extreme irrationality for individual assets. Now, this is where things start to get a little bit juicy here, right? It identifies the areas where things are starting to look unusual, right? An outlier instance. And then there's observation and feedback, right? So it goes through this loop here, looking for times when the stock is not performing or not behaving in a way that normally does, and actually could lead to a huge move. And then the OVTLYR heat map, OVTLYR models distinguish behaviors from baseline irrationality and displays these differences as excessive fear or greed. OVTLYR price trajectory oscillator. AI models identify behavioral outliers to predict price trajectories and reversals. OVTLYR signals. Machine interpretation of OVTLYR data at stock, parent sector, and broader market levels to generate high probability positions. Okay, this is super high level and way, way, way more complicated than I understood. So, like Brian said, we do spend too much time together. I put this through ChatGPT and I said, explain this to me like I was a 10-year-old. And I sent this over to Mark, so Mark approves. And I was like, I'd really like to share this with people. So in a nutshell, if you want to explain how OVTLYR works, this is where you start paying attention, because it's actually really cool. Imagine you're trying to pick the best movie to watch, like the best stock, okay? We're going to do a movie analogy. Imagine you're trying to pick the best movie to watch, but you don't want to guess. What if there was a tool that could watch how everyone else is reacting to the movies and help you decide the best one to see? Right? Imagine you're clicking on Netflix and it tells you exactly what you think is, or what it thinks the right movie for you to watch is. That's OVTLYR. It's like having a super smart assistant that knows what's happening in the theater, how people feel about each movie, and which movie is going to get really popular. So, how it works at the movie theaters. OVTLYR pays attention to everything going on. Who's buying tickets, what movies are being talked about, what people are saying about each movie, whether it's an action movie, a comedy, whatever. And then in the collection stage, it gathers detailed reactions from people about each movie. Are people clapping? Are they bored? Are they excited about each specific film? Then classification. Then it figures out the pattern in people's reactions. Some people might love the action movie, while others are totally uninterested in the horror movie. And it sorts everyone's feelings into different categories. So it's seeing what people are talking about. It's seeing what people are doing. And it's saying, okay, based on these behaviors here, this is the data that we're starting to pull together. The interpretation. The OVTLYR, it looks for moments when people's reactions change unexpectedly, right? Like suddenly everyone starts talking about a comedy that wasn't even popular before. This tells you when something big is happening. So it's pulled in all these data points here, and it's starting to realize, hey, this is an abnormality. Hey, something different is happening right now. What's going on? Then the OVTLYR heat map, which let's jump into OVTLYR real quick so we are all on the same page here what the heat map is. The heat map is this area down here. This is ranked from R50 to the most fear to G50, green 50. Green 50 is greed. So the most fear is R50, the most greed is G50. So that's what it shows down here. And as you know, I love using this for exit points. This part shows how this part, the OVTLYR heat map, this part shows where the excitement is highest. It's like OVTLYR telling you which movie is creating the most buzz, whether it's because people are excited or they're scared. You can see where people are feeling super emotional about the movie. The price trajectory oscillator, that's the blue line back here. The blue line is not a moving average. The blue line is the price trajectory oscillator. OVTLYR predicts which movie is going to be a hit next. Maybe people are starting to notice an indie film, and OVTLYR tells you it's about to become super popular. So relating that to stocks, it's telling you which stock is about to become super popular, which stock is about to be the one that people are very excited to buy. Then the OVTLYR signals. Finally, OVTLYR gives you recommendations based on what it's seen. It'll help you pick the movie that has the best chance of being amazing based on everyone's reactions and what's coming next. So in simple terms, OVTLYR is like a movie expert that can watch how everyone else is reacting to the movies, figuring out where the excitement is, and predict which movie is going to be the best one to watch soon. And that helps you make the best choice by analyzing everyone's feelings and actions. So I hope that made sense. But now we're going to translate. Now that you understand the overall aspect of it, let's talk about it in stock terms so we can. Imagine you're at a big party and everyone's talking about different things. Some people are excited, some people are nervous, and others are confused, right? Imagine you're talking about different stocks. OVTLYR is like the super smart friend at the party who listens carefully to everyone's conversations, figures out how people are feeling, and helps you decide which way to act next. Here's how it works when it comes to stocks. OVTLYR watches what's happening in the market. It looks at the news. It looks at how people are reacting to certain companies and how prices are moving. Okay, kind of like looking at the movie theater, getting an idea of who's doing what inside the movie theater. And then collection. It listens to how each investor feels about the different stocks. Are people excited about buying? Are they scared and are they selling? And it collects all those reactions. So just like the movie theater, right? If people are having an incredible time watching the action movie, but they're bored out of their minds in the comedy movie, and they're ultra scared in one horror movie, and the other indie horror movie, they're not into it whatsoever. So it's taking all these different reactions here and categorizing that data. And then OVTLYR figures out if people are acting in unusual ways. Like if suddenly everyone starts buying a stock that was quiet before. It looks for irrational behavior. Like when people buy or sell based on emotions like fear or greed, right? So if everyone's running to see a certain movie because everyone else is saying, hey, this is a great movie, kind of like what I was saying a minute ago, Sebastian, right? If everyone's buying a stock, then everyone else wants to know why they're buying the stock. That's what it's trying to say here. OVTLYR heat map. This is a tool that shows where people are either too excited or too scared. It helps identify which stocks are being moved driven by emotions rather than logic. And that's why whenever I look to trade, I only give it so much room, right? I don't want it to get it where people are too greedy and then it reverses very quickly. I don't want it to get it where people are too scared and then it reverses on me again. Then the price trajectory oscillator. It predicts whether the stock's price is likely to go up or down based on how people are behaving. So when we look at this, right, it says, hey, it's likely to go up at this point here. So it's moving up and there we go. It's moving down and there we go. It's moving up. And then it did go down, but then it came right back up, right? This is the SPY. We've seen that. And so this blue line back here, that's the price trajectory oscillator. And then the OVTLYR signals. Finally, OVTLYR gives advice on which stocks are good to invest in right now based on all the information it's gathered from the market. So it's collecting all these different data points and it's saying, okay, based on what's happening, we have set a baseline in the behaviors of how these stocks are moving. But you know what? This other stock over here is not acting like it has been. And then it's going to start to evaluate what's going on over there. And then it's going to determine, hey, you know what? This actually is a very solid signal. And so it's going to have a buy signal come through for you or a sell signal. So OVTLYR helps you figure out if people in the stock market are making decisions based on facts or emotions. It gives you an edge by showing you when to invest in a stock or when to avoid it, helping you make smart choices based on how the market is behaving. It's like having a super smart friend who watches the crowd and helps you know what is coming next. So I thought that that explanation was really good, and especially having that movie theater metaphor to go along with it. It really helped me understand what OVTLYR is, what OVTLYR does. And there's Mark in the chat. One catch, how GPT describes the heat map. We're measuring irrationality, irregularity versus historical baselines, and macroeconomic context. Too much irrational fear can lead to a positive reversal, whereas a movie with overwhelming negative feedback will probably just bomb. So there you go. There's the man himself. Like I say, Mark is incredibly, incredibly intelligent. So much so that sometimes it's way over my head. So I needed ChatGPT to explain it to me like I was a 10-year-old. So let me know if you have any questions. Like I say, the objective here right now, while I'm not trading, is I want to make sure that I give you the most in-depth, comprehensive understanding of everything that we do inside Golden Ticket Trading Strategy and everything that we do inside of OVTLYR. And so this week is going to be all about OVTLYR. And we're going to be going through and talking about what each of the indicators are inside of here, what the constituent map means, directional volatility, everything with that we could possibly do for you. I want to explain in as much detail as possible. Oh, Michael just got here. Let me start over real quick. So yeah, definitely scrub back to the beginning, Michael, and watch because we're going to cover so much in the next few weeks. I don't know when I'll be trading again, but here is the game plan. We have the 10 over the 20, prices over the 50. However, when price closes under the 20, this is my personal rule right here. When price closes under the 20, I'm going to wait until it crosses over the 10 EMA again. Now, I don't know when that's going to happen, and that would be up here. It could be tomorrow. It legitimately could be tomorrow. But we also need to keep in mind that we are seeing a reversal in breadth at this point. Looking at the watch list today, Michael says, sorry, oh, slapping necks and cashing checks. What are you, Tony Soprano? On the market breadth today, we did see a very strong pullback in breadth. There were 16 on the bull list, whereas 108 on the bear list today. So I don't think that that's coincidental, right? I think we're about to see a small term pullback. I don't think we're going to get another deep 8% pullback like we did a few weeks ago. But I do see a short term pullback, and then we'll need to wait as well to make sure the market breadth is moving back up again at that point. So that's why I'm just going to go ahead and plan on giving you the most value as possible, because we're going to have some time on our hands. So please be sure to come back every single day. Also, invite others, right? We do this as a service to help you, and I want you to start helping others. So I'm asking for you to start inviting at least one person every day to come along with you, and we can see this grow exponentially if you do that. Because there are plenty of people out there who don't know how to trade, and now is a great time before we start getting deep into long or short trades to learn as much as you possibly can. So thank y'all for coming today. Please, please, please continue to ask questions. Please let us know in the Discord if we can do anything. And like I say, tomorrow, start inviting somebody. You're required. Your cost of entry to come is to make sure that you bring somebody with you tomorrow. Otherwise, I'm going to send Michael after you. He's going to start snapping necks and cashing checks. Y'all have a great afternoon. Talk soon.